I'll bet you'd be shocked if a realtor told you anything negative about the city that they live in, the city that they're selling homes in, the place where their livelihood is. Well, if you'd be shocked, then you need to stick around. I'm going to shock you. I'm going to tell you about the 5 things I really love about Nashville, and that can be quick because you already know them if you're doing any kind of research, and the 5 things I really don't like about Nashville. Stick around. I decided it was high time I did a review of this things I love and things I hate about Nashville, because I did one about 18 months ago and some of the list has changed. I'm Susan Thetford with Parks Properties and Nashville ReDefined. Here on this show, we talk about all things Nashville. So if you're considering a move to Nashville or recently here and want to learn all about your new best city in the United States, then I suggest you go ahead and subscribe to this channel and tap that bell so that you don't miss out on anything. We have so many people moving to Nashville, thinking about relocating and doing their due diligence on deciding where's the best place for them. I have so many people that are calling, emailing, and texting. So if that's for you, if you need to know some information, then I suggest you do exactly the same. Do what they do. We have many people moving here to Nashville and we love it. So we're here to help you if that's something that you're considering. So this is an update on the things I love the most about Nashville and the things that I really, hate's a strong word, but not crazy about. And I would love to know what you think. Now you're gonna have to stick around to the very end because I'm gonna tell you the thing that I like the least about Nashville, and it's recent, it's new, it has changed. So be sure to stick around to the end. I wanna know what you think. And I wish the birds would quit talking. So one of the greatest things about Nashville that I keep hearing from people over and over again is the sports diversity. Whether you're a football fan with our Titans, you'll have ice hockey with our Nashville Predators, whether you are now into AAA baseball with our Sounds or our new pro soccer. You've got all kinds of sports teams, and then you got the college and high school rivalries. So if you're into sports, as far as pro sports and watching those, you're golden. You're having a great time right here. So number 4 on my list of the best things about Nashville is the music. Now I know when you think about music in Nashville, you may well probably think country music, and you also might not be a big fan of country. But if that's all you think of when you think of Nashville, you're really very limited. Now we have so many pop stars who actually live here in Williamson County area and up around the lake. We have stars from every genre of music you can imagine. Now, if you want to do the honky tonk and do what the natives don't do, which is hang out down at Lower Broadway, you can hear honky tonk music going anytime, all day, every day, up and down Lower Broad. You can have a wonderful time hanging out with all the tourists. But if you get away from downtown, you've got a lot of better choices. Some of the restaurants have live music. Often restaurants have music out on the lawn when it's a nice, pretty time. You've got, even on street corners, great musicians who are playing right outside of Target in Brentwood, I've seen it, or right down in Franklin on the square. We've got live music all over town in every single genre, from jazz to gospel to pop. It's not just country. My number 3, always go-to place, and it's never going to change on this list unless it gets higher, is Nashvillians are friendly. We in the South are friendly, and actually I find that can be a little disconcerting from someone who might be coming up from the Northeast or over from California. We speak to each other, we look you in the eye, and we say hello. We'll turn around in Starbucks and say hello. We'll hold the door for you. We're polite, we speak kindly, and frankly, we teach our sons, all you've got to do, guys, all you've got to do is look somebody in the eye, say hello to them, open the door. Some women might hate that. Get over it. We treat people nicely here in the South. I love that. I hope it never changes. My number 2, and yeah, we're going fast because you know these things. You've already heard it. Number 2 on the list of pros about Nashville is there are plenty of things to do. If you're a shopper, you've got malls, you've got regional malls, you've got things to do, you've got the outlet malls. If you're a shopper, we got you covered. We've got museums, we've got many places of interest. Why don't you go over to the Ryman, see where country music really began with the Grand Ole Opry at the Ryman, which is actually a church. It's a really wonderful tour to take. Go over to Cheekwood Fine Arts Center, beautiful grounds, great history, beautiful art that's brought in on a regular basis. You might even want to grab yourself a season ticket because there's so many great things to see. Head over to the Belmead Mansion, learn a little about history, see what a stud farm used to look like, and that would be Horse Stud Farm. See what a stud farm looks like. Go and learn how blacksmiths did their thing. Taste a little bit of the wine. You've got lots and lots of options. Go to the Country Music Hall of Fame. Cut your own album. Gosh, there's so many things to do. You're never gonna stop if that's your thing. Biking, you like golfing, you like fishing, you like hunting, you like history. You are full-time busy if you want to be. You are never going to run out of fun things to do here in Nashville. Always is going to be my number one thing is the beautiful green rolling hillside. You watch my stories, some on Facebook, you'll see. Sometimes I'm just driving and I just got to take some video of how pretty it is. We have outdoor activities, we've got beautiful scenery, we stay green, and I know some people who come from the West, they're saying they're gonna miss their desert. They love the desert. You know it's dry to me. It just looks hot and dry, and I know there's some pretty things about it, but I will tell you the 4 seasons here, each having their own beauty, each lasting just long enough so that you're ready for the next one. It's perfect for the way I love to live my life, and so many are finding that too. So always and ever is going to be my number one thing. We have beautiful countryside, and even when I'm 99 and can't do the outdoor activities, to be able to drive through and see those Sunday drives like all the old people that I used to complain about do, I understand it. It's gorgeous. All right, so let's get to the stuff you've really been waiting for. The things that I really don't like about Nashville. Number 1, road construction. You know, we are growing. We have been growing for the last 10 years. We are growing. And with growth becomes growing pains. And we seem to have ongoing road construction. You know, we finally got 440 finished so you don't have to go around the city, but now we need to work on 40 and we need to work on 24. It's an ongoing thing. We have a lot of road construction. Now, one of the good things about Nashville is there's usually not just one way to get somewhere. So we have a lot of arteries that take you in if you don't want to be on one leg of the interstate. Once you choose your location of place to live, and we know where you're going to work, we can then map out the best routes for you, and that could even be at certain times of day. The best way for you to go at 8 in the morning may not be the best way to go when it's at 10 in the afternoon. 2 in the afternoon? 2 in the afternoon. But that ongoing road construction is tough. Along with the road construction is traffic. We do have snarled traffic. Now, if you're coming from a place like San Francisco, New York, a lot of different larger metropolises, and us people go, you got no problem with your traffic. But if you happen to come from a small area or you're a native of Nashville and we've seen the changes, there really is some real differences. I think we're back to normal traffic patterns and snafus back from COVID, before COVID times, but that traffic can be a difficulty. Remember, find the expert who can teach you the best ways to get places, and you'll be golden. Number 4, this will sort of go along with the same thing, is that we don't have a rapid transit system. We don't have what many cities do have of any kind of other system, so you're going to need a car in all probability. The bus lines don't go to places that most people want to go to. Now, if you happen to live in Mount Juliet, we do have one passenger system that will take you into downtown. So you can park your car in Mount Juliet and go into downtown. That's a great way to actually go over to maybe a football game or concert. But we don't have a good rapid transit system. I don't see how we're possibly going to. Part of the problem is Nashville has built on so much rock, and we're already so developed. So, you know, you may want a rapid transit system, but I don't think you want a train going over your house, and that's kind of difficult too. So, yeah, that's not a great thing about us, but I've gotten over it pretty well. So number 3, and I'm always asked about this, is the occasional really bad weather, the occasional flood. Now you may laugh and go, Susan, that's no laughing matter. It's really not. It's horrific when it happens. But California has its earthquakes, and they're pretty regular. I've lived here my entire life of a lot of years. And I've lived through several tornadoes around the area, and actually one that we think was maybe did touch down very close to my home, and it did some destruction when I was 12, 14. East Nashville, particularly for some reason, has gotten hit twice really hard in the last 2 decades. We do have the occasional tornado. Now here's what happens. We can recognize when it's happening, and they've got tornado sirens everywhere, so you know when to take cover. You know that it's coming, and you know the things to do when that is happening. But we do have the occasional tornado. If it touched down, and it happens to touch down on your home, it's devastating, it's horrible. Now, it doesn't happen often, and it's very rare. And there's a whole lot more risk of being hit by a car walking out of your own neighborhood, but it's a risk. We also have the occasional flooding. Now that's also really not a good thing. Of course it's not. What we had recently in 2010 was what's considered a 500-year flood. We had days and days and days and days of torrential rain, and then another day of torrential rain. And what ended up happening, mostly the reason it flooded is obviously the ground was saturated, but then what they had to do was open the dam. When they opened the dam, it flooded a lot of things downstream, and it did cause a lot of devastation. We had another round of flooding that was not nearly that extensive, not terribly long ago, just this early spring. The water came up very fast because we had days and days and days of rain. It came up really quickly. It also receded really quickly. Of course, that didn't do that kind of damage. But we do have the occasional really bad weather. One thing we always do, of course, when you are checking to buy a home is to see whether you are in the FEMA flood map zone, the 100-year flood zone or the 500-year flood zone. You may well have to carry some flood insurance. But if that's not something that you want to be even the possibility of, then that's something to be sure to have your realtor check to see where the potential home you're buying is, what flood map it happens to be on. One thing you may be comforted in when I said the 500-year floodplain is where some of the homes flooded in 2020. Well, they've actually redrawn the maps since then. So that should give you some comfort as well. I did an entire video on Nashville weather, so be sure to check that one out if that concerns you. The number 2 on my personal list of things that I really don't like about Nashville is I have miserable allergies. Now, everybody's allergic to different things, and you may well have no allergies whatsoever if you live in an entirely different region, but when you come to Nashville, we have so much greenery. Remember, the thing I love the most, our green rolling hillsides. So many trees that you may not be used to, or the grasses, or the volume of grass. So many people are finding that they do have some allergies. I particularly am highly allergic to, it seems, Nashville, everything, including my own hair. But grasses, trees, pollens, especially early springtime now, and fall. Many people have mold and dust allergies. You learn to cope. Again, I've said my favorite thing is horseback riding. Very allergic to horses and hay and straw and all the things around a barn, but it's still my favorite thing to do. My favorite thing to do is to hike. That's nature. So my point is this. I don't like my allergies, and they don't look good when I'm having an allergy attack. My eyes get red and runny and itchy, but the fact is it still doesn't stop me from being outside and loving where I am. So yeah, our allergies are awful, but good far outweighs the bad. And the good thing about that is we have lots of really good allergists here who can find out exactly what you might be allergic to now, and then begin some shots that don't hurt. I've had those shots to minimize how difficult it is for you. Or there's some great over-the-counter things now that you can take for 24-hour relief. It's a matter of knowing what you're allergic to and then having a lot of cold compresses for your eyes. It'll help. By far, the most difficult thing about Nashville, and this is different from my list of about 18 months ago, is how difficult it is to find a home for newcomers. We are really having a tough time. Native Nashvillians, we don't have enough inventory. And check out one of my videos. It shows you exactly the reasons for the difficulty in finding housing, the reason for the difficulty of inventory, when we think it's going to change, and that'll give you some great information because it's just something we've got to deal with. But what I hate is the difficulty because it's So frustrating to find a home that you really love and realize that there's 140 other people who are also vying for that house. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but not a whole lot. So here's what we're having to do. When someone wants to move into our city, between learning the commute areas, learning all the things about an area of Nashville that someone might want to be, then determining the house that they need, all that, then finding the things that are available for them to see. Here's a hint, pro tip, do not come to Nashville if you hope to see houses on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. What's happening now is that people are putting homes on the market as a coming soon on Monday, but you can't actually see it typically until Thursday, maybe Friday or Saturday. What that does is that locks everybody up who wants to see it for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and then they open bids on Monday. What happens is everybody sees it all at once. There ends up being multiple offers, and if you have something to sell, it's extremely difficult. No one's going to accept an offer because so many people are coming into Nashville with their home already sold, with cash. They've got their pre-approval. You're having to compete with so many people from all over the country who want to move to Nashville. Plus, frankly, us Nashvillians like to move occasionally too. So it's such a bottleneck, it's difficult, and that is my number one thing, because I hate to disappoint people so badly when they're trying to move here. We find it. I can't tell you that I have ever had someone lose out on several houses and not ultimately find the house that was ultimately the very best house for them. But it does come with some emotional heartache, and so I hate that for them. But it's all worth it. Nothing worth doing is easy, right? So there you have it. My top 5 things that I love about Nashville and the 5 things that I could really do without. So there you have it. My updated list of the 5 things I love about Nashville the most and 5 things that I could really do without. I hate to use the word hate because frankly, things are going to change and you just learn with it. No place is perfect. This is as close to a piece of heaven as I can imagine. Lived here my entire life, have no intention of ever moving, and that's the way it is. You know, I think I left off something that is actually key. When you say you live in Nashville, you don't necessarily live in inner city Nashville. You may well live in many of the communities that surround Nashville. There's still easy access into Nashville for the concerts, for the football games, for all the things you want to do that are downtown, but you don't have to live there. We have easy access from so many places. So maybe Murfreesboro is your thing, or Mount Juliet, or Hendersonville by the lakes. You may well like Franklin down south, really historic area. You may well like Smyrna, Thompson Station, Fairview, Dixon. There's surrounding areas that makes it very easy to get into Nashville. So check out some of these videos of some other areas. The beauty of Nashville is that you can call yourself a Nashvillian. You can live, work, play in your different communities and still have the access to all the fun things of downtown Nashville. I think that's huge because everybody doesn't want to live downtown, but everybody does want some of the things that a Nashville kind of downtown does offer. And you've got the best of both worlds. So if this list doesn't scare you off too much, if you're still interested in learning more about Nashville, if you're serious about truly checking into Nashville, then I suggest you go ahead, reach out to me. Call me, email me, text me, do whatever it takes. Send up those smoke signals if you like. I'm here to help you when you're looking for a new place to live. Nashville may be your heaven too. Till next week or next time, be blessed.